Hi, my name is Tim. I'm the founder of Bravo Whisky Charlie Films, an Atlanta area indie film studio. A couple of weekends ago, Saturday, March 15th, I attended my first ever Civil War reenactment at the Battle of Bentonville. Those of you who know me know that I'm a huge nerd for Civil War history. Many of you have been following my political commentary page, The Sons of Liberty, for going on 10 years now. So you know that every April, during what's known as Confederate Heritage Month, I roast the Confederacy and instead celebrate the Southern Unionists who remain loyal to the United States. For those past 2 years, I've gotten dressed up in a Union General's uniform and done dramatic readings of the posts that I've made in the spirit of William T. Sherman. Make sure to follow the page, as we'll be upsetting neo-Confederates and lost cause bigots all month long. And before anybody complains that I'm a biased Yankee or foreign deceiver or whatever, on my father's side of the family, my great-great-great-grandfather, George Alfred Trenholm, was the Secretary of the Treasury of the Confederacy. Not only was he a slave-owning planner, but he was also the inspiration for Rhett Butler from Gone with the Wind. I rolled in Friday night from being in Washington, D.C. for a veterans protest and then turned around and got up super early to make it out to Bentonville with my buddy Hollywood. Yes, that's his name. We got there around 7:30 a.m. because we heard there was going to be a lot of traffic. And there were already guests moving into the seating areas, and fortunately we had media passes, so we had our own little roped-off area. We spoke with probably 8 or 9 reenactors that day, asking them some very basic questions. We also got to speak extensively with an officer from the 21st Michigan Infantry, a campaigner reenactment group.
My name's Chase Petro. I'm 22 years old, and I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania. The unit we're portraying this weekend is the 21st Michigan, and I'm the captain of Company D.
I had several reasons for going out to the reenactment and interviewing reenactors. One, I've always wanted to see a reenactment, and I've always wanted to get footage for an indie western film that I've been wanting to put finishing touches on. 2, there are a surprising number of reenactors following the Sons of Liberty. I wanted to dispel some myths about the reenactment community, which I myself somehow believed owing to my own biases and misunderstandings. Also, there may be a lot of conservative or even further right-wing people doing reenactments. I also know that that's not the case entirely. A lot of people that I spoke to, even off camera, definitely wanted there to be more inclusion in what they call the hobby. And also 3, I wanted this mini documentary to be just a taste of what we can bring to you, the fam of liberty. And whilst a lot of you are just there for the political hot takes and takedowns, with a small few of you busting my ball bag about brand delusion, there are also a lot of you who enjoy our historical content, even if you've yet to witness the spectacle of Big Sarge as General Sherman roasting traitors and uplifting loyal patriots during the month of April. When I realized that this reenactment was occurring at a time when I was nearby, I jumped at the chance to attend. I've been following a number of Civil War reenactment groups on Facebook for several years, and had seen Bentonville mocked by quote-unquote elite campaigner units. This did not deter me from planning to attend. I reached out in several different Facebook groups and got a lot of positive responses. My posts were relatively simple. Hello everyone, I'm not a reenactor, but rather I'm a filmmaker making a documentary about reenactors. I would like to interview people at Bentonville, or words to that effect. In one such group, Civil War reenactors, I got a few decent responses and some jokery responses, but then surprisingly I was banned by an admin without any kind of warning. Nobody reached out to me to tell me why I was banned. I asked a number of other non-admin people about this, and the recurring theme of responses that I got was, some of those guys are real jerks, and that's the sanitized, polite version. The elitist attitude will be a recurring theme among some of the people that I interviewed, including other campaigners. So what kind of people attend a Civil War battlefield reenactment? If you're picturing the same kind of people that you might find browsing People of Walmart, you'd find some similarities, but the audience that I saw at Bentonville, North Carolina was a very diverse crowd. I don't know the reasons why they decided to attend. It could be anything from morbid curiosity to let's go do something outdoors, all the way to wanting to experience a reenactment the same way that I did. I saw black people, white people, Asian people, Indian people. I saw types of people that you might expect to find at a reenactment, and I saw people that you wouldn't expect to be there. I saw the same thing reflected in the reenactor population that I observed at Bentonville. I saw reenactors of varying ethnicity, body mass. I saw women portraying male soldiers. I saw women portraying women passing themselves off as men. I saw black reenactors. I saw Asian reenactors, and I saw plenty of white guys. The Battle of Bentonville was one of the last battles of the Civil War. In fact, the only other conflict by that point were the pursuit of Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, one state to the north, and some minor skirmishes in Texas, which, ironically, the Confederacy won. although these skirmishes were nothing of strategic advantage. Shortly after the Battle of Bentonville, the last remaining Confederate major command would have 2 grand reviews and ultimately would begin negotiations to surrender within a week of that. The war was effectively over, the South's rebellion effectively crushed for good. But as we've seen 160 years later, in the news media and the hearts and minds of quite a few people, the Confederacy, its ideals, its bigotry still lurks in the shadows. Whether it's statues of Confederate leaders or the revisionist history sponsored and enabled by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, there's a significant portion of school children in the United States who learned or are learning a sanitized, whitewashed version of history, and that's being generous. I should know. I'm the product of such an education, and no doubt many of you are also educated the same as me. I'm going to present a few snippets of some of the interviews with reenactors that I conducted in Bentonville for the 160th anniversary. It's important to know that these interviews, portrayed against my admittedly biased slant for this video, will be edited and compiled into their own unbiased video for separate production. For the purposes of this specific video, it's tempting to view them through my aforementioned personal bias. We're running a crowdfunding campaign throughout the month of April to raise money for a year-long 12-episode documentary on Civil War history. Our intent is to look at historical events, places, and people that maybe you've never heard of. For example, I bet good money that you know who Harriet Tubman is, and maybe you even know that she was recently made an honorary general. But did you know that she was also the first woman to lead a U.S. military operation? She led a force of some 150 black Union troops, at the time called U.S. colored troops, through a raid in South Carolina to liberate over 700 enslaved people. Did you know that people complaining about Sherman's quote-unquote war crimes are ignoring the many documented instances of actual war crimes, such as we would call them today, which were committed by Confederate soldiers? The Battle of the Nueces, the Battle of Poison Springs, the Fort Pillow Massacre. Did you know that there are documented instances of women serving openly as a woman in a combatant role? Did you know that there are countless documents written by men and women of the era, whether government declarations or personal memoirs, where the authors knew that southern states seceded specifically because of slavery and economic factors tied directly to slavery, and considered it treason? These are the facts, legends, myths, and outright falsehoods that we want to tackle during our year-long video documentary. So we're asking for your support in our crowdfunding campaign to fund 12 episodes, roughly one per month, where we will get together and set the record straight on America's history surrounding the Civil War. For Bravo Whiskey Charlie Films and the Sons of Liberty, I'm Tim, aka Big Sarge, and that's my time for today. Big Sarge, out here. 2 claps and a Rick.
And now it's time for the throw punch!
Even if you have yet to witness the spectacle of Big Sarge and German, what the fuck, really?